Rundown podcast. Got a couple things to go over. Obviously, we're reacting to championship weekend and the results there. Got a little more NBA MVP talk, but we brought on a couple guests for that as well. Juliano Silva, Steve, and Mazza joined me to discuss some of the MVP debate and a little bit of NBA talk. Just, we did dance away from the MVP a little bit, but not by much. But they join me for the following segment to follow this before I come back to close out the show. But it's a separate little segment that we have for you today. It's going to follow up the championship weekend reaction. I think eventually I'm going to get into these NFL head coach hiring breakdowns too. They happened today. I do want to get into those, but I do want to look into them a little bit more. And I kind of want to wait till all the coaches to grade all of them together. But obviously, we got our brother versus brother Super Bowl matchup to now eventually break down as well, too. The Pro Bowl, that's something I want to touch upon as well. The Pro Bowl, Tyler Huntley making the Pro Bowl, that doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, we got the brother versus brother Super Bowl. I think the most entertaining Super Bowl, Eagles-Chiefs, I think was like the number one in terms of entertainment value that I wanted to see. Personally, I had picked Bengals-Eagles, so it was only 50% there. But then again, once again, I was not surprised by the way the Chiefs played and coming out with winning that game. I think some people were. The Eagles are early 2.5-point favorites. Or I think 2-point favorites, I think. They're the early 2-point favorites. And ironically enough, whoever wins this game will have more, have more wins at the Arizona Cardinals home stadium than they did this season. Arizona Cardinals had one home win this season, so whoever wins this game will actually end up with more wins at that stadium than the actual team that plays there. Shout out Cliff Kingsbury, wherever he's at. He bought a one-way ticket to, was it Thailand? It was somewhere. He bought a one-way ticket to someplace over in that realm of the world. He's still getting paid. They're still paying him for quite a bit, considering he just signed the contract, right? Just signed the contract. They just signed the contract extension. Either way, he's doing pretty well. He's not coaching football anymore. But yeah, we got 2 games to break down. 2 gross football games, to be honest. I think that the Eagles-Niners was certainly gross because there were just no quarterbacks, and Brock Purdy couldn't throw. Brock Purdy tearing the UCL in his throwing elbow, which I asked the question on Instagram, and I'd like you guys to respond to that and call or text in. It opens up the door for Tom Brady to slide in there to San Francisco now that Purdy's going to be out at least a minimum of 6 months with that torn UCL. I mean, the guy went out there and still tried to throw. Ended up throwing 2 passes with that torn UCL. That was my initial reaction. Everybody was going at him for his toughness. No. If there's no nerve connection to his hand and he just can't throw the football, you're not going to be doing that with a torn UCL. He may never throw the football the same way again. So toughness is not a question when it comes to Brock Purdy right now. But it does open the door for Tom Brady to slide in there to San Fran, to his hometown team. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know on the call or text line. But yeah, gross game. Josh Johnson came in. Garoppolo wasn't ready to go. That would have been a cool story if Garoppolo actually came back in and did some damage, but that was not the case. He was not ready to go. The ground game for Philly just pounded and pounded. I mean, it looked like it was going to be an entertaining game early. It was just that injury that really threw it because the San Fran defense, I thought, played very well. But as they got through the game, they eventually tried to do too much. I think that was their big issue, is they were just trying to do too much to make up for the fact that they had no quarterback, and the penalties came. There were a lot of delay games because Josh Johnson, just the communication there, the head coach, just getting back into the playbook, that wasn't good. But I think San Fran's defense was trying to do a little too much at times. The most penalized game of the year, which was not a good look there. Probably one of the only stains of DeMeco Ryans as he now goes on to the Houston Texans. But yeah, the Eagles, they had the bye. They beat a Giants team they should beat handedly, and they beat a Niners team that, considering the quarterback situation, did exactly what they're supposed to. So, they've had it, but I don't know. Jalen Hurts allegedly still not 100% healthy, but they've made their way there to the bowl. All you got to do is get the dance, and 2 1 seeds make it against each other. Not exactly how it plays out every time, but it has this year. Like I said, the Kelsey brothers getting to square off. And again, Jason Kelsey, probably the best center in the league, one of the best centers probably ever. The dude is dominant in the position. I don't know if you guys have seen the Baldy's breakdowns on him, but he is impressive. Very, very fundamentally sound football player. And if he wins this one, I'm sure he's going to walk off into the sunset and allow his little brother to just continue to tear up the league. But yeah, again, just dominant performance from the Eagles. This one actually had some obviously those calls, they were necessary. The referees, I think, were obviously too much a part of the game for my liking from an entertainment standpoint, regardless, of how the calls went one way or the other. I just wasn't. I'm not a fan of how involved they were. It just frustrates me when they try to but when you have evenly squared teams, I guess they kind of do come down to break the difference sometimes if their call is good or not good, which is why you see them more prevalent towards these games, because they're so evenly matched that if the officiating leans one way or the other, whether it's on purpose or not, it is noticeable. But they had that punt that allegedly hit the wire, but they couldn't determine. And if you're into conspiracy theories, that Fox wouldn't actually allow that camera to be used, to be shown, like, oh, hey, that camera's not working, that camera's not, we can't access the footage, we can't tell you whether it hit the wire or not. That was an alleged thing. That's your conspiracy theory thing. Because Fox and the media rights, and they don't want it to be their fault that the reason the game gets changed and they have to repunt and whatever. Again, one call does not make the difference. Just the lack of discipline in this football game from the defense did, and the quarterback injury obviously played the biggest part in it. I don't think no matter what happened there, Philly was going to pull away with this game no matter what. So, consider the injury to Brock Purdy, and even then when you're in there with a third-string quarterback, but he hadn't looked like it, so tough to say. I think it opens the door for Tom Brady to slide in there to San Francisco, but of course Vegas will be suitors too. But it almost looked like the door was closed. I think they were ready to build around Purdy. They were ready to move off Garoppolo and Trey Lance, move those guys, trade those guys, get some capital, and put even more weapons around Brock Purdy, considering how cheap his deal is going to be. But now you got to figure out if this dude can ever get back to throwing the football the way that he was, or even in some form of way a way that he can be productive doing it. It's not a good injury to have for someone who's a thrower of the football. And it's unfortunate. I feel for the kid. It's a young kid that was just living out his dream and was just riding the wave, man. Just riding the wave. And that injury is tough. It sucks just long term, and it also sucked in terms of the game because it totally changed the entertainment value and the chance of the 49ers to go in to do something, and Mr. Relevant winning a Super Bowl in his rookie year, which would have been incredible. This other game now, the Chiefs-Bengals, this is one where we're definitely on the referees. And I totally agree. Not in terms of like how one-sided it was. Like you could pick apart call here, non-call here. It's just a matter of how often that they were involved and how much of an impact it felt like they had. You just don't like to see that. You just, as an entertainment value, as a fan of the game in general, you don't want to see that type of interaction that takes away from your enjoyment of the game. Listen, I'm a Saints fan. I've seen some bad non-calls and bad calls, and as a football fan, you're going to see it all the time. It's part. If it comes down to what you think is one or two calls, you didn't play well enough. I mean, the Bengals clearly had an opportunity to win that game. I mean, the Chiefs outgained them. They had the better quarterback. Mahomes, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, Burrow throwing for about 270 change with 2 picks. I mean, the Chiefs just flat out outplayed the Bengals on the stretch just enough to win by 3. And I think that's the real story there, is that the referees, there were so many opportunities for the Bengals in that one. Again, it was just gross. It's something you don't want to see. It was just it makes it feel like it's rigged. I think there's been some incompetency from the referees because of how often they adjust and change and meet to talk about these rules and how often things change up, and that's having an effect on it. I think the NFL is very quick to change a lot of things and try different things, but I think it also affects the overall productivity of NFL referees. But it just took away from the game and the entertainment value of it, because what should have been the most entertaining game, and the score should have, obviously supports that it should have been an entertaining game. It really wasn't. So, Marquez Valdez-Scantling going off. Eli Apple's mom had to delete Twitter. This was my thing, is that they were just talking so much. The Bengals, and they hadn't won anything yet. They hadn't even won a Super Bowl yet. This is a Chiefs team that has won a Super Bowl, a quarterback who has won a Super Bowl. The Bengals had only just been there. They hadn't won anything, so it was strange to me that they were talking this much, and the Chiefs let them hear it. I have no problem with Travis Kelce. I have no problem with any of the stuff that went back at Eli Apple or anything because they were running their mouths. They hadn't won anything yet. They had not accomplished anything yet. So they go out and say what they did and did what they did. I'm totally okay with it. Travis Kelce got a podcast to sell. He's emotional. He's charged up. No problems. No problems with anything what they said because the Bengals were asking for it all week. I mean, the Cincinnati mayor saying that Joe Burrow should take a paternity test to see if he's Patrick Mahomes' father. I mean, please. Give it back. Give it right back to him, Travis Kelce. Round of applause. Totally with it. And the WWE is waiting for you to retire. They want to sign you to a contract. That was a great little Dwayne The Rock Johnson reference and a great little, WWE promo, style promo. And again, like I said, refereeing just wasn't there. They become a part of the game, and you don't want that to happen. You want them to regulate the game, not be a part of the game. They were a part of the game, and that's reality, and it took away from the enjoyment. I hope the Super Bowl is not like that. You got to give a credit to Andy Reid with all the late-round draft picks he has playing on his defense, what he's been able to do to rebuild this receiving core after Tyreek Hill and a lot of the weapons. Travis Kelce becomes a focal point. Many of guys rotating through the backfield, not including Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was a first-round pick for them, who has not panned out. And Patrick Mahomes doing the damn thing. I mean, just making plays the game to the line. That's what he does. Burrow just didn't look. You're not going to win every time, and you're not going to win every game, especially when it's in Arrowhead. You're not going to win every game you play in Arrowhead and against a guy like Patrick Mahomes. So Patrick Mahomes has been going to be 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. First 5 years of his career, he'll have a Super Bowl win, loss, and then arguably could that could flip one way or the other. He's been to his third. Just Pro Bowls, all pros. Like, this dude's insane. He already has an MVP. Probably set to have a second MVP now in this first 5 years starting. Like, it's been an incredible run for Patrick Mahomes. And I think, my early favorite for him to go on and win another Super Bowl. But, yeah, like I said, the referees, I think, played way too much into this one. But in Kansas City, I think, if you look statistically at the entire game, like how it played out, again, you can't act like the Chiefs didn't just flat out outplay the Bengals and it had nothing to do with refereeing. It just had to do, in general. When you look at TRT as well, the Chiefs are better at defending on third down. They had one more third down conversion, so they won in third down. In terms of, I want to look at, in terms of turnovers, the Bengals had more turnovers. And if I could find the red zone, the Chiefs are better in the red zone. So TRT is a thing that we talk about with Coach Andre Murphy, our coach. Third down red zone turnovers. So if you're better on third down, you're better in the red zone, and you're better in terms of causing turnovers, and having your team having less turnovers, having a better third down percentage, and having a better red zone percentage. That tells the tale of the tape. That wins you football games. The Chiefs are better in all of those aspects. And that includes the one where they had 3 third downs to work with, and they still didn't get it. So the Bengals still had that. They had that whole OD app where it was 3 third and 9s, and then with that percentage is still better. I know that obviously, in the terms of like how it plays out, yeah, that might have added up to. But reality is, you still had a chance to outperform them, and in those 3 main categories, you did not. Every statistic you look at, they outperformed them, I think, except for, I think the Bengals ran the ball a little bit better, and really it came down to, the Bengals ran the ball better, but they were more penalized, and you chalk that up to, if you want to say the referees were siding, I'm not going into this whole NFL is rigged thing, because you get it from all sides. They just wanted the brother versus brother Super Bowl. But then if, the Niners had won and then the Bengals had won, they just want Burrow to go back. They just want Mr. Irrelevant to win it. Storylines exist because this is sports. We create our storylines. It encapsulates us to watch. We're entertained by sports because there are bigger stories at play than just the game itself. So why are we going to act like everything is rigged when the result that happens is not what we want? We're just going to say it's rigged, like it's wrestling. The NFL wants this storyline. That makes it make sense. Wouldn't you have wanted Mr. Irrelevant? Isn't the best-selling thing the last pick in the draft? Isn't that the best? Isn't that the best storyline to have the last pick of the draft in? Getting hurt wasn't a part of the script. There you go. And there's your workaround. It's ridiculous to me how many people throw this it's rigged thing out there when there's just storylines, because that's how sports exist. We create these storylines, or these storylines create themselves because that's part of the entertainment value of the sport. But the game itself happens, and that's what we take from it. That makes it entertainment. It's not rigged. That's sport. That's the sports entertainment world. Thank you, everybody, for hanging around this far. Now I would like to transition to our segment with our two guests, Steven Mazza and Juliano Silva will join me to talk about the NBA MVP debate and a little bit of basketball towards the All-Star break as well. Please stick around for that, and then we'll close out the show with a little Tyler Huntley Pro Bowl talk. Stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Rufus. Little NBA MVP talk. I don't want it to just be me who is anti-Tatum all the time in my show. So I wanted to bring some other people on that also disagree with me, but at the same time, there's other people that have other takes. I'm a Luka guy. But I welcome Steve Mazza and Juliano Silva onto the show. We're going to talk NBA MVP for this segment. Fellas, how we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. You know who else is doing fantastic? Jason Tatum.
No hesitation? Just like a Jason Tatum sidestep three late in the game, zero hesitation. Zero, or a Jason Tatum turnover when he gets double teamed, zero hesitation.
Well, we want to talk about turnovers. Lucas, a turnover machine. Come on.
Yeah, considering his, all right. So I'll let you kick it off with Tatum. I want to hear. Right. So, obviously, I've been an anti-Tatum guy, so I want to hear from someone who's a pro-Tatum guy.
All right. First of all, we're gonna do it from multiple angles here. Why Tatum is the MVP? First, what's the most important thing about basketball and sports in general? Winning. And what are the Celtics doing? They're winning. Top of the league, 36-15. Unbelievable. And who's leading the way for that team? Jason Tatum. Yes, he has a team around him, but there's been injuries, and Jason Tatum is still balling out. Second of all, what else is very important is availability. And if out of all those top guys, Jason Tatum has played the most games. He's played 48 games. He's been out there most of the time on the court for the Celtics. Very impressive. And let's just take a look at the numbers for you. From Jason Tatum right now is currently averaging 38, 1 block game, 4 steals, one steal and basically 4 assists a game. So again, these numbers are incredible. He's on pace to become the first Celtic player ever to score 30-plus points for a full season. That's ever. So not even Larry Legend, who won back-to-back MVPs, did that. And the fact that he's doing that on a team that's first in the East, which has a player like Jaylen Brown. So, this guy has to share the ball with some of the best players, and he's still averaging 30 points a game. That's incredible. As you compare to the other players like Luka, it's Luka or bust. So if he wants to score, he can score as many points as he wants. Who's going to take the rock from him? Jason Tatum is doing this while having somebody that takes away the scoring, takes away the ball. He can't be on the ball as much as you have Jaylen Brown, Brogdon, Smart, Horford, all those weapons. And Tatum is getting done. And let's also talk about a side of the game that people don't talk about. It's his defense. He's improving as a defender every time as he averages 1 block and 1 steal. And he's usually picking up the best guy on the other team with Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. The defense has been incredible. And he's also had to handle the ball while Marcus Smart's out. So you see the versatility of Jason Tatum, where he has to handle the ball now. And I really think he's the MVP. And by the way, he led the way with 759 votes for the ESPN first MVP straw poll. So it's not just me who thinks Jason Tatum is MVP. It's the fans, it's the media, it's the players. Jason Tatum is the MVP.
All the what did Isaiah Thomas say in The Last Dance? He met the criteria. I think Jason Tatum meets a lot of the criteria for the MVP award when you're checking the boxes like statistics and the team winning and all of that. I certainly think that Jason Tatum makes a case, but how I denote a lot of the value for the most valuable player award is if you were to take that player away from the team, what would that team become? Jason Tatum, all that being said, that he has a lot of guys and he's still doing that with a lot of guys around him and he's the focal point, but there's also guys that take the pressure off of him in a sense where they have to prepare for other people and other things that are being done. So in different ways of playing the game. When you have talented guys like Brogdon and Jaylen Brown, he doesn't draw as much defensive attention because they're also very talented, so they're just a bad matchup for certain teams, and him being the best scorer on that Celtics team, he should find that success because he's not taking up so much attention as a guy like Luka. Spencer Dinwiddie and Christian Wood are his next two options. That's not Jaylen Brown and Malcolm Brogdon. I'm not trying to make that case. I'm not trying to listen. I don't want people thinking I'm doing drugs on here because if I was to compare Christian Wood and Spencer Dinwiddie, to Brogdon and to Marcus Smart, to any of those Celtics players, they'd be crazy. They would think I'd be on drugs. So that being said, if you take Luka away from the Mavericks, they're a lottery team. The ping pong balls are in there, and they're going to be getting one of the top 4 picks. So that's the only way that I see it. A guy dropping 53 to beat the Pistons by 6. I mean, he had to drop 53 to beat the Pistons. I mean, I think that speaks to I think that speaks to the volume in which that he matters to this team. If he has any less than a 53-point game, but losing to the Pistons. So I think all that team success is down to what Luka does, what Luka draws as the main focal point of the offense. Doesn't play that much defense in the sense where it's like not as good as Tatum, but he also doesn't have the guys around him to take the kind of load off that he needs to take on offensively. So does the defensive part of his game suffer? I think absolutely. I think Jokic kind of falls into that category too, and I know Steve's going to touch on Jokic too. That defense kind of falls off, but a guy who's a 7-footer averaging a triple-double, there's also a lot of value to be had there. So if the defense falls off, it is what it is. And I really don't tend to worry about defense specifically until it comes to playoff time too. But of course, it's good to get those reps. Of course, it's a part of the voting. But you look at a guy like Luka, what he's doing, dropping 53 points. He had 6? Did he have 60 this year as well too? Pretty sure it is. Did he have 60 bomb, or did he have another 50 point?
On my team.
Yeah, on the Knicks. We love to see that.
60 against the Knicks.
RJ Barrett and everybody else. I mean, the Knicks did beat the Celtics recently too, so in overtime. So
yeah.
Maybe some open wounds there.
This is not a Knicks debate, buddy. This is an MVP debate.
But yeah, Luka's my guy. Steve, I know you're a Jokic guy. I mean, obviously Embiid, Giannis, the conversation too. But I think these are the top 3 guys right now.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a lot of these players in the NBA, especially the big ones that have been towards the MVP race. You can make cases for all of them. I just think that Jokic really stands out this year. And I believe if Jokic didn't win that MVP, say if he hasn't won those first 2 MVPs, I think he would be just driving the bus right now. And no one would touch him in the MVP race just because how insane it's been. But think about it. With your 2 players that you guys named, Jason Tatum and Luka, are both top 5 in minutes. My guy, Nikola Jokic, is 46th in the NBA in minutes while also hooping. He also has the number 1 seed in the West. Again, if Jokic didn't have his team, he would be in the similar stakes as Luka with lottery team. I think we could both agree on that one. His team is better than Luka's, don't get me wrong, but it's still not a playoff team at all in that standpoint. The guy also, Nikola Jokic, is averaging a triple-double. He's right there. It's insane. And not a lot of people are talking about that much. This was 2017. People will be all through the roof. But this guy, Nikola Jokic, is killing it and is putting in work in the NBA. And defensively, this is his best defensive season. So this is the best by every single stat that he's done in the past 2 MVP seasons. So the only way I don't see Jokic getting it is because they all want to give it to the guy 3 years in a row, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I feel like you shouldn't look on that. You just have to go on this year, who's the best. And he's still having crazy numbers that he was having for the past couple of years.
I mean, personally for me, I think Embiid should have had one of the last 2, which, again, this happened. This is what happened when they gave Derrick Rose the MVP, right? Like, they were tired of giving LeBron the MVP, so they kind of shifted it to a younger kid, to somebody else doing something, so they're tired of Jokic doing it. And it's unfortunate now they're kind of tired of giving it to the same guy, because this is probably arguably of his 3, of what would have, if you say you give him the MVP this year, of the 3 MVP seasons he's had, I'd have to say that this is statistically, like you said, the best season averaging the triple-double with the defensive improvement. I think this is his best year in terms of value for that award, and now they don't want to give it to him because they're tired of giving it to the same guy. I mean, Embiid probably should have had it last year, and Embiid, I don't know what you guys think about Embiid this year, because that Sixers team isn't as talented as it has been. Man. What do you think about Embiid?
Last time I saw Embiid play Jokic, did anybody see that game? I think Embiid was giving Jokic buckets. So
he was.
I don't know how good that defense was on Embiid. Embiid was cooking them. What do you have, like 47?
It was 48. 48. He had 48 and 15. Who can guard him? That's the better question.
Probably not Jokic.
That's what I'm saying. But he's doing that to everyone. This isn't new. Embiid did try very hard because, Joel Embiid wanted to put his name in against the guy who took his MVP from him. And the same game that he wasn't even an all-star starter. That's the thing. I love Joel Embiid. I think Joel Embiid should be in the same conversation as – I think he's the same exact chance as Jason Tatum. I feel like they're right there, especially for a guy who's always hurt a lot, and he's still, like, giving 110 on both sides of the floor. He's been dominant. He's leading the league. And he's up there in points. But I got Nikola Jokic. Again, number one seed in the West. 9.9 assists. Like, come on. A center, Jules, is averaging almost a triple-double. If you would have said this to anyone, Rook, you're listening to this. Rook, if I would have told you this 15 years ago, you wouldn't have believed it. Like, it's insane. So that's really why I think this guy should be the MVP for the third time in a row.
I mean,
who else did that? Larry Bird.
Larry Bird also did that.
Larry Bird did that.
And guess what Larry Bird played for? The Celtics. And guess what he never did? Average 30 points for the season. Guess who's doing it? Jason Tatum. Who's the MVP? Jason Tatum.
Well, like in life, there is an inflation value to money, right? So stuff costs different. You could buy soda for 10 cents back in the day. Now a bottle of Coke costs $2.50. Well, scoring has kind of seen the same type of inflation. It's not as much of a premium as it was, where you could see Michael Jordan scoring 40 out of a 100-point game. Now all of a sudden you see two people on each team scoring 30 points a game because 130 is the average score for an NBA team to an extent. So I think that some of this has to do with the lack of defense in the league and also the rules that support the lack of defense. Jules, what do you think about that?
Well, again, you guys talking about inflation, all this nonsense. You know what? Back in the day, there was a center that led the league in assists. So Jokic is not special. Mr. Wilt Chamberlain led the league in assists as a center. We're probably taller than
compared to Wilt Chamberlain. That's pretty insane.
That's a good point.
I'm just saying, bro. The guy's been hooping.
I mean, Wilt's probably one of the craziest stories of all time. I mean, I think now with the way the league is set up, it's obviously offense at a surplus, but obviously back then too, like a guy like Wilt Chamberlain, because of how athletic he was and his size, like it allowed him to do something like that too. So I think there's something to be said about that. Again, I think it's the cool thing about all of it is that you can make a case for all these guys. And we're witnessing all of it. Like this sets you up very well. The fact that Joel Embiid is like one of the top 3 for MVP conversations right now, or top 5 at least. We'll give top 5 because I'm not sure if he's in top 3. He's in my top 3, personally. I think Tatum's 4, but still up there.
My God.
But the reality is that we get to watch all of it. Like the discussions, whatever. I'll agree to disagree. I'm not gonna. It doesn't matter to me at the end of the day. Like I'm not picking a side. Like we get to watch. This is one statistically. You look at some of these guys. Like it sets you up very well for the playoffs in terms of entertainment value. The Celtics trying to run it back. Giannis, if they can get you healthy, Chris Middleton. It looks like if Embiid stays healthy, they've been playing through broken noses and all this stuff going on. He can't breathe. Like James Harden, just something. Give him a little something. Help him out a little bit. And the same thing with Jokic in the West, finally getting Jamal Murray back, and they'll probably get him to full health by the playoffs come around. This is going to be exciting. So I'm happy. I'm happy for all these guys to be performing at this level, and we get to watch all of it. I think we win at the end of the day. Doesn't matter who wins the MVP. As fans, we win getting to watch all of them do what they're doing.
Yeah, everyone's hooping. Like everyone's scoring. The stats are insane this year. I feel like you could argue at least 5 guys in the MVP. I think it's just so right there. Obviously, there's that ladder, but it's just very close. And I was looking at this the other day, like how a decade ago the leading score was like what 27. It wasn't that much.
It's climbing, man. At some point, they're going to have to find a way to bring it back. We're going to see that physical brand of basketball come back a little bit. But
yeah,
Jules, as a Celtics guy, what do you think about Jaylen Brown? What do you think? He was in that conversation. He was in that conversation for a little bit. What do you think?
He's in the All-Star starter conversation.
I believe he should have been All-Star starter, and I'm not a Celtics fan.
He's a Knicks fan.
I'm
that's a lot.
And I don't think.
Great claim.
I think it should have been Mitchell and Brown, but again, MVP conversation, different topic. But
This is not about Mazza praising Jalen Brown. This is about him.
He was kind words from a Knicks fan.
By saying he is an all-star starter. That's why he can't win MVP. You know what? That's ridiculous.
I mean, to help. It helps.
It diminished. It diminished. It's not like I had someone say like, "Oh, shame on Jason Tatum for having good teammates."
Is it his fault?
Well, if you're talking about the MVP award, it's value. Like, it's not the best stat line. It's not the best season. It's not the best play. It's most valuable. So again, this is a.
You're saying the best player on the best team is not valuable.
Well,
no, we're saying that he is.
He does have valuable. He's the most valuable player in the Celtics, and they're the best team in the league right now. But the reality is that he's the reason. One of the reasons they're the best team in the league, and he's doing what he's doing, I think, is because of the help that he has around him. Like if you switched out Luka, if you switched out like Luka and Jason Tatum, they're similar wing players. I'm not going to say Jokic because if you put a guy averaging a triple-double as a center and swap him out with Jason Tatum, that totally blows us out of proportion. I think Jokic just destroys everything more. But if you player similarity types, Luka's more of a guard, handles the ball more, but I think they're a closer comp. If you were to swap their teams, I think you're not. Again, you probably see the same thing happen, but I don't think people are so crazed about Tatum. I don't think they win as much with Tatum as the Celtics would win with Luka.
Tatum would take the Nuggets to the conference finals. I'll tell you right now. Tatum would be cooking in the West. Don't get me started.
Conference finals? So he wouldn't take him to the finals. So he's not good enough to bring him to the finals. Oh, I thought he was MVP. That sounds like an MVP. Well, I don't know. We'll find out this year.
Yep.
I'm gonna find out. Wait till he sees Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, if he plays.
If Kawhi Leonard was healthy this year, I'm telling you, he'd be in the talk right now too.
Dude, we've been saying that for 5 years. We've been saying that about Kawhi for 5 years. Like, just wait till he gets healthy. Him and Paul George, wait till they get healthy. They just can't. They just can't.
Oh,
I don't know what the training room's going on in LA, but
what a crumble.
Fellas, I appreciate you.
Send the Dean athletic trainers over there. They'll help him out.
Hey, Nicolette's on her way.
Over there.
Send
Beth over there.
I appreciate you guys for joining me. That's all the time we have here for this segment, but again, I appreciate you guys for joining me, and hopefully you guys can join me for some future debates.
No problem. 100%. Always down.
So, that's my rant. That is my rant. Oh, rant number 2 here. I'll get more into the Super Bowl, and I'll react more to that with Ryan Quinlan. But that's what I thought. I don't like the referees being a part of the game. I like them just controlling the game in the sense of like the referees. The Joseph Osai thing too. That's definitely a penalty. The other one that was laid out of bounds. That's definitely a penalty too. With the Bengals down at the goal line, but they still ended up scoring. So what are we doing? It pains me to see, one of the Bengals linebackers came off, very pissed, and I've tried to go back and forth on whether it's okay to ridicule your teammate because he had a great game, but it's just an ill-disciplined play. You just have to know better there.
Oh, you're not good. This motherfucker last year. The fuck? Why the fuck did you touch the quarterback?
You just don't touch the quarterback at all anywhere in that area. There's no need to. Really is no need to because he was already going out of bounds. Just stay away. Just ill-disciplined move. And I think players do have a right to be upset with that. Was there a camera there that he didn't care for the camera? He was just venting his frustration. And I think he has a right to because it's a discipline thing. He's not trying to lose the game for you. Yes, I understand that. But also at the same time, it's a disciplined kind of play. Like, you just should know better. But he wasn't making the plays he was making all game, so what are we talking about here? Again, I'm torn. I wouldn't want to hear it, but at the same time, I have to understand that is true. He didn't say something wrong. Oh, and everybody's saying coming out of Crusher, he's a terrible teammate. Listen, it's the heat of the moment. He's upset. He didn't know the camera was there. He wasn't speaking directly to the camera. He was just pissed in general. And I think his teammates, they understand that. And that's all that matters that the teammates do. I don't think he's a bad teammate. I think people know that. I think, Osai doesn't want to hear it, but it wasn't directed directly to Osai in that moment. He was just venting his frustration. A camera happened to be there. And I'm not going to crush the guy for it. I'll have the clip for you guys so you can watch it. I'm not going to crush the guy for it. The crying on the sideline, yeah, it sucks. It sucks, bro. But you'll bounce back. It's part of the game. And this Bengals team will certainly have a chance to get back. Here's the other thing, NFL thing. Pro Bowl voting, and however, the Pro Bowl means nothing anymore, right? The guys aren't even competing. There's not even a game. It's flag football. I mean, Tyler Huntley is a quarterback for the AFC, and Justin Herbert is not. Derek Carr, Tyler Huntley, Trevor Lawrence are AFC. Guys just aren't playing in it, so this goes to the next guy. Kind of happens around the NBA All-Star break, too. If a guy tweaks something or something, just kind of give it to whoever the next guy is, and you have like 30 All-Stars. Does it really matter anymore? Does the Pro Bowl even, like, he's like, how do you know, he's a 12-time Pro Bowler. Like, does it even really matter that much in terms of how you're looking at a guy's resume to get in the Hall of Fame or anything? Tyler Huntley? I mean, hey, congrats to the guy. Filled in for an injured Lamar Jackson, but Jesus Christ, even give it to Herbert first, just for him to say, "Hey, I tweaked my shoulder, man." Then give it to Huntley. Like, what are we like Justin Herbert? Not getting it on. I know he doesn't want to play in the game. If he declines it, then no. But like, how does that make any sense? Does the next guy to say yes, or is it voting based off of me? Remember the year where they had the AHL guy playing in the NHL All-Star game? He was a goon. He was up and down all career. He was in the AHL the time that he played. He actually had a really good All-Star game. But, like, what are we doing? Just giving backup quarterbacks the nod to play the Pro Bowl. Like, it devalues the whole Pro Bowl. It just devalues it from, like, when you have guys now that have resumes to get into the Hall of Fame. It just devalues it. Does it matter? Does the Pro Bowl matter anymore? Does being a Pro Bowler matter anymore? And is fan voting washed up? Should we even do fan voting anymore? I mean, you make enough money off the sport. Do you think voting really determines whether someone's going to watch or not? Like, what? No one's going to watch it if Tyler Huntley's in it, even for a meme. It makes no sense to me. Although I did watch the AHL guy. I did watch that. That's the only NHL All-Star game I've actually watched, was the AHL guy. But no one's watching this for Tyler Huntley. No one is watching this game for Tyler Huntley. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, someone has to step in here. Not allow us. Like, just make it Justin Herbert and then him. Like, even then. Kenny Pickett, not Mac Jones. Maybe Bailey Zappi. You get my point. Like, why him of all people? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I will not be watching the Pro Bowl games. No, taking a stand right now. Put my foot down. Out of this entire situation, we're not doing it. I will not be a viewer. But that's pretty much it. I wanted to touch on our reactions to the championship games, as well as the NBA MVP talk segment, that as well. Very happy with how that went. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. I got Ryan Quinlan coming on soon enough. We've been delayed. Quinlan's had some stuff going on. I've had some stuff going on. Our schedules have not matched up very well at all, but we're going to get Quinlan on. It could be tomorrow, could be later in the week. Not sure yet. Hopefully it is tomorrow, and I'll have it up by Friday. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. It is your boy Rufus.
Those other shit, bitch.